The Fedlife podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a fiduciary, fee-based financial planning firm serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of Raymond James. Securities are offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. Serving Those Who Serve is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services, Inc. And now, here are your hosts. Dan Sipe serves as a branch manager for Raymond James Financial Services and Serving Those Who Serve. Ed Zerndorfer is our guest and federal benefits expert in the space.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Fedlife podcast. If you're regular, you know I'm your host, Dan Sipe. Additionally, I'm the branch manager here at Serving Those Who Serve and Lee Sipe and Associates, beginning as I always do by saying thank you. Thank you for taking time to listen, but also thank you for your service to the government, to the country, to me, to everyone. You don't hear that enough. You're always going to hear it here. The other thing, as you know, with Fedlife, you're always going to hear my buddy, Ed Zerndorfer. The guru is back with us once again as part of our ongoing mission to reach, teach, and serve you, the career civilian feds. Again, if you're regular, you know we follow Ed's FedZone articles to give us one more way to reach and teach. So, Ed, Happy New Year. I know we're not supposed to acknowledge time and space in podcasts, but it is a new year and another year together, brother. That's awesome. Looking forward to many more.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you. And I just also want to say that happy new leave year coming up soon. The new leave year we're going to be talking about, very relevant. Happy new leave year, but it hasn't started yet.
Well, great segue. So, Ed, you kicked off the year with a great article about the 2025 pay raise, and our feds do love pay raise articles. It's had very robust readership, about 55,000 so far since first of the month. But also, since you published, the president did go ahead and sign approving pay raise. Now, you indicated in there that it sort of breaks out as that 1.7 is to the basic pay and then 0.3 is to locality pay. Is that correct?
Yes, we call the 1.7% government-wide, no matter where you're working, what area of the country that you work, high-cost areas, low-cost areas of the country. Every federal employee gets the 1.7%. I call it the government-wide pay increase. Added to that is something called locality pay adjustments. Depending on where you work, will determine high cost, lower cost, will determine how much of your locality, how much of a locality pay adjustment you're going to get. Average, Dan, is 0.3%.
Got it.
So I know here in the Washington, D.C. area, federal employees in the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area, they're getting a 0.3% locality pay increase. So add the two together, Dan, that's 2%, a 2% total pay increase.
Gotcha. And we always hoped these things would be higher. And as a matter of fact, you mentioned in the article that 24 different lawmakers wanted a higher raise. So tell us about that.
Yes, Dan. Well, first of all, let's go to the basic here. The president, in this case, President Biden, last August proposed a 2.0% pay increase for civilian federal employees. At the same time, he recommended a 4.5% pay increase for active duty military members.
Mm-hmm.
So 24 lawmakers said, well, that's really not fair. In the past, civilian workers got the same pay increase as active duty military members. We should really make the two equal. So, and this has happened before. Back in 2016, December 2016, President Obama had proposed a lower pay increase for civilian federal employees compared to active duty members. But before it took effect, I think it was December 15, 2016, he changed it and to have to equalize the two pay increases for active duty military members and civilian federal workers.
Gotcha.
But President Biden decided not to sign it to go along with that. So I think it was December 23rd, 24th, something like that. He went ahead and made it official. It's going to be a 2% paying, I should say, the 1.7% plus the average 0.3% locality pay adjustment for civilian federal workers.
Gotcha. I think I agree with the lawmakers. It would have been fair for it to be the same thing, but
agree.
what we have is what we have. So now, Ed, when can our feds expect to feel it?
Okay. Before I answer that question, Dan, I just want to clear up a misunderstanding that some federal employees have about pay increases. We've gotten questions, and I get these all the time. Ed, how much is going to be the federal employee COLA, cost of living adjustment? COLAs are for federal retirees, Social Security
Good
retirees.
Point.
They get something called a cost of living adjustment that the president and Congress do not set. It is determined by the Department of Labor, Bureau of Labor Statistics. They figure out what the COLA is. So COLAs apply to CSRS annuities, FERS annuities, Social Security benefits, and that took effect. It always takes effect on January 1st.
Gotcha.
First day of the new calendar year. The pay increases, in this case, the 2.2%, will take effect on the first day of the new leave year. And the 2025 leave year starts on Sunday, January the 12th, 2025. So the 2% pay increase for the 1.7% plus the locality pay adjustment, whatever it is, wherever you live, will take effect on Sunday, January 12th. So federal employees will not see the effect of that pay increase until their first pay date for pay period one. So pay period one it's going to start on January 12th, 2025, and it's going to conclude on Saturday, January the 25th, I guess, 25th, yes. So sometime during the last week of January, or maybe even the first week of February, when federal employees get paid, their pay date, they will see the effect of that first pay increase.
Gotcha. Okay, so depending upon when feds get around to watching this, they may or may not have received that, but pretty darn close. Now, Ed, next, you expand on something that I know most feds just don't think or consider, and that is that a pay raise has ripple effects through the other benefits. So, for example, tell us about the impact to the pension they're going to build up.
Yes, no matter what retirement system a federal employee is covered by, either CSRS or FERS, every 2 weeks, something is being deducted from their paycheck, from their gross pay.
Sure.
Namely, if you're a CSRS employee, 7% of your paycheck is being deducted every 2 weeks and deposited in what is called the CSRS Retirement and Disability Fund. That's the employee contribution. If you are a service offset employee, 0.8% of your paycheck is being deducted and contributing to the CSRS Retirement Disability Fund. If you're a FERS employee, depending on when you were hired, 0.8% or 3.1% or 4.4% of your paycheck every 2 weeks is being deducted and contributed to the FERS Retirement Disability Fund. Now, remember I mentioned, Dan, that what is that being deducted from? Your gross pay. So therefore, since your gross pay is going up on average, let's say 2%, so will that contribution. So employees look on their leave and earnings statement every 2 weeks. They see a line that says CSRS contributions or FERS contributions or contributions -FERS, contributions -CSRS. The amount that's there will be on average 2% more compared to what it was during leave year 2024. So that's one thing. Also, if you are a FERS employee, and whether you contribute to the thrift savings plan or not, your agency every year contributes 1% of your SF50 salary. It is the SF50 salary that's getting this 2% average 2% pay increase. All employees have to look at is their SF50, and they see that new salary. That's why they're going to be getting a new SF50. We'll talk about that in a few moments. But that pay increase that average 2% will show up on their new SF50, notice of personal action, showing the new salary. And because that new salary is going up by 2%, so will the agency contribution. It's 1% of the new salary. So they're going to be getting on average 2% increase in terms of the agency automatic. This is the automatic, Dan. This is automatic 1% of the SF50 salary contribution. Matching that's a different thing. So that's going to be the effect on the federal pensions as TFP.
Yep. And another area that most feds might not be thinking about, another ripple effect here, the federal employee group life insurance will be impacted for folks who participate in it, correct?
That is correct, Dan. Those federal employees who are enrolled in the federal employee group life insurance, FEGLI, there are different parts to FEGLI. The one part of FEGLI that if an employee's enrolled has to have is called the basic insurance amount. The basic insurance amount. What is that? It is an employee's SF50 salary, current SF50 salary, rounded up to the next $1,000 and then add $2,000. Now, I said it's their SF50 salary. If their SF50 salary is going up on average 2%, so will the amount of their FEGLI basic insurance amount. One of the optional coverages, option B, multiple of salary. What salary? Your SF50 salary. Now, the way it works is it is the SF50 salary rounded up to the next $1,000. And then you have multiples of 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 times of that amount. So if the SF50 salary is going up, so will the amount of their option B, multiple salary. So that is the effect on the FEGLI coverage.
Gotcha. And this is really great, Ed, because I think a lot of folks don't necessarily realize, again, that ripple effect that goes out. And folks, just to remind you, everything that we're talking about here is covered in Ed's FedZone articles. You can find that at fed-zone.com, or just head to the SW Serve website, and you'll see blogs and podcasts. You'll see Ed's area. It's going to be in there. You should always, we love the fact that you watch and listen to these things. Always make sure you review those articles, because many times there's additional support material, charts, things like that, that'll really help you get your hands around it. Ed does a great job with that. So now you offer some guidance that I'm pretty sure a lot of feds wouldn't consider. And that is the procedure to verify that you got the raise you should. So tell us about that.
Yes, Dan. I really recommend that every employee they always get an updated SF50 whenever something happens for salary. That, for example, they get a promotion, they change jobs, they take a step increase, something like that. But also when they get a pay increase, they will get an updated SF50. SF50 that, in this case here, the updated SF50 should be it's usually it's an electronic version, as it usually it's in their EOPF. We sent to the EOPF, and they should receive it probably late January, maybe early February. And there are certain boxes that they should look at on their SF50 that will reflect this average 2% pay increase taking effect on January 12, 2025. And I like to be very specific here what boxes I'm talking about. It's all in this column, okay? If on your SF50, it'll have on box 12A, it's entitled basic pay. So this is the government-wide pay increase that took effect. How much is that, Dan? 1.7%.
Okay.
So the 1.7% of their pay will be as follows. Take their last year SF50, the 2020, the one they had at the end of leave year 2024, and go to box 12A and multiply that by 1.7%. And that should be their new basic pay. And they should verify that. Then box 12B, that's the locality pay adjustment. How much is that? Well, on average, it's 3.3%. Let's take a Washington, D.C., Baltimore area. It's 0.3%.
Sure.
Do the same thing. Take their 2024, the latest 2024 SF50, go to box 12A, multiply that by 0.3%. I guess that's 0.003 times salary. And that should be the new locality pay adjustment. And then box 12C is add 12A and 12B. You come up with box 12C. It's called the adjusted basic pay.
Gotcha.
That's going to be the basis now for the things we just talked about in terms of the pension contribution, in terms of the Fedlife covers. That's the basis now, that they adjusted basic pay. And then we get to box 27. Box 27, Fedlife, the Fedlife coverage. Now, we talked about the basic insurance amount, Once again, it is your adjusted basic pay. That's box from box 12C, and box 27 is that pay rounded up to the next $1,000 plus $2,000. Once again, go back to the latest SF50 for 2024. Go to box 27. Compare that Fedlife amount to the 2025 Fedlife amount, and it should reflect a 2% increase.
Gotcha.
Okay. Another thing they should always be checking. This has nothing to do with pay increases. They need to go to box number 30, and that says retirement plan, to confirm they are in the right retirement system. We talk about this all the time when we do our monthly webinars on FERS. We have a webinar coming up on CSRS. And before we get into any of the calculations and showing what the employees are going to get, they have to check their SF50 box number 30 to confirm they are in the right retirement system. Unfortunately, over the years, Dan, employees who entered federal service were put in the wrong retirement system, and they didn't discover it until they were almost ready to retire. What a disaster.
Folks, we've seen it, whether it's wrong retirement system or just something wasn't entered the way it should be. Mistakes do happen. We're not bashing anybody here. We're just understanding that that's the case. So Ed, tell me this. So somebody follows your guidance, they check through all the boxes and they find out it's off. What should they do?
They need to contact their human resources or personal office immediately.
Okay.
This has happened. And they got to take care of it as soon as possible. Don't let it ride. It's not going to go away. They have to take immediate action. It could have been an honest mistake, whatever it was. Just get it corrected. Don't wait on it. Don't wait on it.
Folks, Ed and I have been at this for a long time. And we have helped guide people through the situations where there are hiccups. And again, this is not to bash anybody. When you have a big organization, you have lots of hands, you have lots of data being entered, imperfections happen. When there's people, there's always going to be some errors, imperfections, things like that. Our goal is to make sure that you are first protected from it, and if it still happens, give you the actionable steps to correct it. Ed and I have talked. New administration's coming in. For some folks, there's a lot of anxiety around that. We're going to be here, folks. Okay, whether it's the podcasts or the articles or the webinars, we're going to be covering the things that you need to know to make the best decisions for yourself. Okay, you do not have to go through this alone. We're going to be here. We're going to cover the obscure stuff, and here you go. I think this is a great example. There are plenty of places, because it always gets a lot of eyeballs, that, hey, here's the pay raise. And then a whole lot of people go to that site. One of the things that is so remarkable about Ed is he's going to also give you the nuts and bolts things for what to do and what to understand with. So Ed, another fantastic job. So many people just said, hey, here's the pay raise. Thanks for coming. Click my link for this, that, or something else. You're actually giving people what they need. And I thank you very, very, very much for that.
You're most welcome. It's my pleasure helping federal employees get to this. Like you say, Dan, we're here to help. We're here to help. We're here to answer your questions. We're going to get you this process. We're living, and it's going to get even more, I think, more challenging. We're living in very, very challenging times, and it's only going to get worse over time. And that's why we're here.
Yep. They're not going to go through it alone. We'll be there. And Ed, everybody likes raises. So this was a timely offering. Raises are kind of like your favorite dessert. Okay. It's always good, but it's better if there's more. So we wish it could have been more, but let's make sure we get the most out of it. And folks, I will throw a shameless plug in here. Use this as a springboard. Sign up for a TSP webinar, sign up for a first webinar, or, if you're CSRS or CSRS offset, sign up for that. Sign up for the financial planning, sign up for the tax webinars. So any raise is a good raise. More is better, but any raise is great. Make the most of it so that you are getting the most out of your Fed life. See how I tied that in, Ed? So, okay, folks, that is a wrap. We are serving those who serve. Be sure to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube, but also on Spotify. Please remember to share it with your friends and a few strangers. Don't forget those live webinars every single week. Head over to swserve.com. You will see the blue webinar button. Hover over it, turns red, click on it. It'll take you to the whole menu. You'll see all the places where Ed will come to you virtually through the internet. Don't have to go anywhere. You can watch in your bunny slippers. He'll reach you where you are, teach you where you are, and above all, serve you where we are. Sign up for one, sign up for all, and share with friends. They will thank you. Don't forget to read Ed every single week in the Fed Zone. That's fed-zone.com. You don't want to miss that. So for Ed, the crew at Serving to Serve, and me, Dan Sipe, I'm going to close out our first one of the new year the way I have all of the other ones, with good luck, Godspeed, and above all, remember, it's your Fed life. So please make it a great one. Why? Because you deserve it. Stay well, everybody. We are out.